Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bol. Jayam Vishwapad Paramhamsa. Parivraj Acharya Statra Sata Shrimati Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Krantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Cheva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. We are continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 11. Dravya Svabhava Shaya Karma Kalair Dravya Svabhava Shaya Karma Kalair Ekadashami Manaso Vikaraha Ekadashami Manaso Vikaraha Sahasrasha Shatasha Kotishascha Sahasrasha Shatasha Kotishascha Kshetragyato namito nasvatasyu Kshetragyato namito nasvatasyu Dravya Svabhava Shaya Karma Kalair Ekadashami Manaso Vikaraha Sahasrasha Shatasha Kotishascha Kshetragyato namito nasvatasyu Please chant. Dravya Sabhavashaya Karma Kalair Ekadashami Manaso Vikaraha Sahasrasha Shatasha Kotishascha Kshetragyato Namito Nasvatasyu. Word for word translation. Dravya by physical objects. Svabhava by nature as the cause of development. Ashaya by culture. Karma by predestined resultant actions. Predestined resultant actions. Kalai by time. Ekadasha 11. Ami all these. Manasaha of the mind. Vikaraha transformations. Sahasrashaha in thousands. Shatashaha in hundreds. Kotisha cha and in millions. Kshetragyataha from the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na, not. Mittaha, one another. Na, nor. Swataha, from themselves. Syu, are. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The physical elements, nature, the original cause, culture, destiny, and the time element are all material causes. Agitated by these material causes, the 11 functions transform into hundreds of functions and then into thousands and then into millions. But all these transformations do not take place automatically by mutual combination. Rather, they are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. One should not think that all the interactions of the physical elements, gross and subtle, that cause the transformation of mind and consciousness are working independently. They are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Krishna says that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. As mentioned herein, supersoul, Kshetragya, is directing everything. The living entity is also Kshetragya, but the Supreme Kshetragya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the witness and order giver. Under his direction, everything takes place. The different inclinations of the living entity are created by his own nature or his expectations, and he is trained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the agency of material nature. The body, nature, and the physical elements are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They do not function automatically. Nature is neither independent nor automatic. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is behind nature. Maya tyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena konteya jagad viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Om jnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya manobhishtam stapitam yena bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dravya Svabhava Shaya Karma Kalair Ekadasangi Manaso Vikaraha Sahasrasha Shatasha Kotishascha Kshetragyato Namito Nasvatasyu. The physical elements, nature, the original cause, culture, destiny, and the time element are all material causes. Agitated by these material causes, the 11 functions transform into hundreds of functions and then into thousands and then into millions. But all these transformations do not take place automatically by mutual combination. Rather, they are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschattadeshatarine. Hare Krishna. Good morning. How are you? So we're hearing about a more technical part of Srimad Bhagavatam here. Chada Bharat, he's speaking about the material nature and how the material nature works. The material nature is certainly very wonderful, as we can all appreciate. And even regular people appreciate nature, appreciating the fact that material nature is working so wonderfully, producing so many nice things, being beautiful in itself, and being very complex as well. But in this verse, one important point is made, which many do not know or do not accept, is that the material nature is working under the control of God. Often people think nature is the highest, and beyond nature there is nothing really. And Prabhupada, he quotes many, but here it is said in this verse that even though all these different elements come into being and they interact, it's not simply the interaction of these elements which brings about transformation, but the transformation takes place because of Krishna. He's directing. Yesterday we had a school class and we were speaking for a long time in the seminar room about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. They were very inquisitive and many questions. And one girl, she asked, how do we, because I was speaking about certain things from the scripture, and naturally they felt a little bit perplexed that how can we believe that what is in scripture is actually really true, because it sounds so unrealistic based on what we learn in school and based on what we can see with our senses. And one girl then asked how do we actually relate to science? And yeah, it's always nice, these questions, they make us think. And Srila Prabhupada, he didn't say science is bad in itself, but science is not accepted by us if it's not an authoritative science, if it's not based on proofs, and if it's not integrating Shabda Brahman, meaning revelation which comes from sound, which comes from the scriptures. The reason for that being that science, as we know it today, is simply based on our sense perception, pratyaksha, and anuman. I always forget the English term. Interference, I think. If you conclude, speculate, based on what you see, you may come up with a theory, a speculation. And that's of course not at all accepted by our tradition. We use science, we can use science to prove what's seen in the scriptures. So in that sense, there is some things in science, like the law of action and reaction, or the law of gravity, which is accepted by us. It's not that we say science is all the way bad. No, we accept that these laws are given, and they are God-given laws. But then we don't accept theories, which are not, first of all, they are theories, and most importantly, they are not in line with what our scriptures say. So if you look at the evolution theory, then we learn that simply due to what's exactly explained here, that transformations take place by combination of elements. And that's how we came into being. Our very complex system came into being by just mutual combination of elements, somehow or other, by accident. But that's completely against our philosophy. Our philosophy, everything is created by God. The elements, they mix based on the direction of God. And Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, he quotes 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita, which I would like to read in order to establish that point. The one verse in the 9th chapter, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Konteya Jagat Viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material manifestation. But the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita that of all the living entities in different forms and species, I am the Father. The Father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for the child, and similarly the Supreme Lord by his mere glance injects all the living entities into the womb of material nature, and they come out in the different forms and species according to their last desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, take their different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because he glances over material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord. But he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person. Yet, the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet, the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. This is one example now of something which sounds very unrealistic. How is it possible that the Supreme Lord can inject living entities by his glance into material nature? It's very difficult to understand from a material point of view, because we don't have any experience that anyone can glance and inject anything, what to speak of living entities. So therefore the scriptures become a little bit difficult to accept for many people, because it's not corresponding to their experience. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains this point, how it works, that Krishna is like the father and this material nature is like the mother. And the father, like in sexual intercourse, he injects the seed, and the mother develops that seed into a child, into a baby, into a living entity, which then is created. which gets a shape, a form. So in the same way, God, Krishna, he injects the living entities into this material nature, which is like a womb. And then in this material nature, in this womb, Mother Nature, she develops us in a certain way. But this Mother Nature is not doing that independently. She's just like in a harmonious male-female relationship. She's simply trying to support God, Krishna, no? Trying to serve him. And the actual, how it works is that Krishna is still the one who is basically deciding how the living entity is developing. And Prabhupada, I will read now the second verse in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada quotes from the 15th chapter, text 15, which is a very important verse. Sarvasya jaham ridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva jaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and for me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Purport. Who is listening?
Vishnu Prabhu, he's listening, but he's outside. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus the Lord is not only all-pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And Krishna, in his incarnation as Vyasadeva, is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, and the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good. God is all merciful. This reminds me also, yesterday one student asked, is your God also all merciful like the God in the Bible? Why, he asked? Because I was speaking about karma and how somebody also gets punishment. So I said, yes, our God Krishna is all good, he's all merciful. And he then said, but how come he's giving suffering to living entities? So naturally, we don't need to be a big professor to understand that punishment doesn't have to be bad. Prabhupada gives the example, can we say that because the government is Can we say that because the government is opening a prison house, the government is bad because they open a prison house? Can we say? No. Why do they open the prison house? Because there's people who need to go to the prison house in order to be rectified. This is actually a manifestation of the mercy of the government, that they open a prison house for the benefit of those prisoners. And in a similar way, God, Krishna, He's creating this material world for the benefit of those living entities who need to be rectified. And not rectified because Krishna, he wants to control and lord it over and just be the center of course he wants, but he doesn't need it. It's not for his benefit, it's for our benefit. It's because we cannot be happy without Krishna. That's why he's rectifying us. I continue reading. Anta pravishta shashta jananam. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord, situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yo so sarvair vedair giyate. In all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads and Puranas, the Vedic philosophy and worship of the Lord in devotional service, he is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas give us direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra confirms this in the following words. Tattu samanvayat. One can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the different processes, one can approach him, and at the end one can attain the supreme goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. It's so nice to think about how Krishna is in your heart, and in my heart, and in your heart, and in your heart, and in yours. And everything that happens, even especially your thoughts, are directed by God, by Krishna, by God. Why? Because it's our karma. It's like, how does karma play out? No, karma is so complex. Karma has to take so many things into consideration. But essentially how it works, Krishna is just by giving us the like it is said in this verse, he gives us remembrance, forgetfulness, and and memory. In this way, he's like an expert who's gearing the living entity around. Very subtle, no? It's not that he's grossly involved. No, he's very subtle. He's just giving the thoughts which we deserve to have. And He's taking away the thoughts. And one important point here is what Prabhupada mentions in the purport. If we want to understand Him, He will immediately make all the arrangements. It's just our desire which is needed. If He sees our desire, He can do everything, because He's just right next to me. He can see what's going on with me. But if I don't desire, if I desire something else, He will do something else. See, that's how merciful He is. And this is a very important point we need to accept and understand in our life, and we have to integrate it in our life. We have to take responsibility. Because we have freedom. We have the chance to direct our life. But we have to make an endeavor. And Krishna is here to support. God helps those who help themselves. That's it. And in this verse, Jadavarat, why is he speaking about this? Because what is our main problem? Anyone? What is our problem?
We want to enjoy separately from Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we are the controller.
Mm-hmm. We want to enjoy separately. We think we are the controller. And why? We are in illusion. What means illusion? Illusion as Brahma, in Bhagavatam, illusion is defined as if you see something disconnected from Krishna. That's illusion. How many things do we see disconnected all the time? We don't see the connection. We don't see how everything that happens is actually it's sanctioned by the Lord, by Krishna, everything. And in this way, everything should be like communication by Krishna to us. Because nothing moves without Him, not even thought. Damodari is very deep.
No, I can't imagine that this is true. Because I asked myself, why did show Krishna so much suffering around me? Why don't show me not the peaceful, enlightened world? No.
Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai ki Jai. Shishi Gornitai ki Jai. So when you hear this and you look at your life and you see how your life is quite miserable sometimes, and you hear that Krishna is even the one who is sanctioning this, then you think, how Krishna is so nice, how come he can do this? It's not possible, right? Do you remember when you were a child? Do you remember when your parents punished you sometimes? When you did something wrong? I remember my father was very strict about television and video games. Oh my God, I hated him for years for that. You know, everybody in my class, they had 30 plus television stations and a PlayStation or an Xbox and so many games. And we had 3 stations and no game console, not allowed. No Game Boy, no PlayStation, no Xbox. I hated him for that. I felt like, wow, he's punishing me. You know, why is he just punishing me like that? But today I have a lot of appreciation for him. Of course, this little different example, but sometimes my father would punish me, no? And at that time I thought, wow, he's so cruel. But now I know this was his mercy. Now I really can say, I don't have a grudge about what he did to me. Even though in that time I felt very hurt. But now I understand this was his mercy. I wouldn't be who I am now if he didn't teach me that time. And it was not easy, it was painful, but it was nice, it was good. So in a similar way, Krishna is teaching us. And in the moment when we are suffering, because we are so attached to our body and mind, we cannot understand how can he do this. But once we wake up from our dream, we understand, oh my God, this was his mercy. Otherwise I would still be dreaming. I would still be hovering around in this illusory platform. But he was so merciful that even though he had to give me a punch, and it was painful, he did it in order to benefit me. So we have to have this faith that whatever happens, it's for our benefit. And I'm sure many of you have this experience. You can look back in life and you went through so many challenges and difficulties. But I hope that you can say, this was all good. It was all for my benefit. Even though in that moment it was always very difficult. But now I look back and I feel it has made me to who I am, and it was necessary, and probably there will come more in order to bring me to the level where I have to come, in order to be worthy of Krishna's service and, you know, his. What do you think about this, Damodar?
I think that I feel that it's the lesson that I have to learn, that it exists only one attachment that makes sense, and that's feel attached to Krishna and Jagannath Subhadra and all the world around humanity state. It's not illusion, it's also reality, but it's very important to have a little bit distance.
Distance from?
Distance from the environment, from the from the tragedy around me, you know, from the attachment, from the familiar attachment and all this stuff, from the job place and the money stress and the stress overall, you know. It's I think best way is to be not attached at all. Attached to Krishna, this is important, because he will help to guide me to get out from this material disaster.
And do you accept that he's doing it in a way that also sometimes suffering comes along?
Sometimes I have to disconnect it all, you know, because it's too much. I'm totally overdosed with social media, socialized people, with family struggle, with all this stuff, and then I go back in a really calm room and.
And what do you do then? You chant?
Yes.
So does it mean that all the difficulties are helping you to come closer to Krishna in one sense?
I'm pushed in the direction of Krishna.
You're pushed, right?
Yes.
So is it His mercy? Are you happy?
Maybe.
Are you happy when you chant? When you're in the temple and
I feel calm, you know.
you feel calm?
It's like take medicine.
So it's His mercy, right? That. Do you think you would be so willing to come to Him
Yeah.
if things were all flowery?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's the realization we should have. That Kunti Devi, she prayed, please send me problem after problem, because if there's a lot of problem in my life, I will always remember you. What an exalted personality to pray like this. We don't pray like this. We say, Krishna, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, and then I will worship you. Then you are my dear Krishna, otherwise I'm not sure. But Kunti is giving the example of an exalted devotee, a devotee who is advanced. Please, you give me trouble. Whatever you need to give me, I just want to remember you. I want to stay connected to you. I don't want to always fall into illusion again and again and forget you. It's a big challenge to come to that level. But we don't have to worry, the problems will come anyway, so we don't need to pray. And they will give us opportunity to remember Krishna for sure. So, very essential point, we should try to understand how Krishna is active in the life of us, in our life, in this world. Even though he's hidden, if we look at our life through the lens of scriptures, we can see Krishna. Once Srila Kadamba Kanumaj was asked, I think not a devotee, somebody else asked Maharaj, have you ever seen God? And Srila Kadamba Kanumaj's answer was, I haven't seen God, but I have seen God's hand many times. And this is a very nice answer, no? That it's very difficult to see God face to face. We can see Krishna on the altar. We can appreciate Him. But to literally have Krishna reveal Himself in front of our eyes in His Shyam Sundar form, it's an exalted platform. But we can see Krishna's hand in our life. We can see how He's acting. And in this way we develop that faith that He is here. I might not have the full perception, but I can see Him in some way. So that's what we should try to see. Whatever happens, Krishna is the one who is guiding, and we can in this way become Krishna conscious, not be in illusion, in Maya, and see things separated from Him. Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bol. Any comments or questions? Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for your lecture. Yeah, when you were mentioning that we really have to be scientific also, I was thinking that, and that if Krishna is, the whole thing that Krishna acts very wonderfully, puts the seed in to the material nature only with his plants and so on, we cannot perceive. But also science actually teaches something that we cannot perceive here. For example, that life's coming from nothing. Then we never see this. So in these videos by Bhakti Parswami Maharaj, where you were mentioning God, science, and atheism, he was also mentioning very nicely that elements, they don't strive for survival, and
That's
how you explained that, and that's really, Krishna consciousness is so scientific in how you perceive Krishna more and more. And maybe we can share, like, each one of us a pastime where Krishna really was interacting with us, and that we're more conscious that actually it's happening, that he is fulfilling all the desires that are not bad for our Krishna consciousness. In that way.
Should we do that now? Or?
We have 4 minutes left. Okay.
Yeah, if anyone likes to share something. Purunisha has a question or comment?
У вас вопрос или поделиться тоже хотели? Поделиться. He wanted to share something.
So let's just have who likes to share something? You, yes.
Right before a few days, this Anastasia was here, and it was very special with her because I could give her many services that she liked a lot, and she told me that she was in Vrindavan, and also here she's actively praying for service, and she was very happy to get it. And
she was in Vrindavan?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And
nice.
Then we had the opportunity to iron Janani was produced clothes, and I just came down and I asked her, like, would you like to do? And she was in ecstasy because she just said that I was just praying 1 minute before to be able to serve him personally.
Wow.
And now you're coming
nice.
and having this, and this was wonderful. And really Krishna arranges everything very nicely. Also, for example, for myself, when I went to Vietnam 2 years before, I didn't want to go, and I was pretty miserable there. So Krishna kind of arranged that I could come here, and the only way was that I was like physically and mentally ill because my parents wouldn't allow me. So he sent me this strange illness, and yeah, it was very painful, but that was actually just how Krishna fulfilled the desire. And also, like, small and not really significant desires that are not really bad for Krishna consciousness, even immediately fulfilled sometimes.
Sometimes even fulfills those who are not good for our Krishna consciousness. So we have to be careful.
But this
Just
is
comes
very difficult to attain, actually, if you're sincerely trying to get towards him.
Sorry?
If you sincerely try to get towards him and you have some desires that are actually not good, he will not fulfill them.
It is said that he fulfills in a way that we don't want them anymore later on.
Yeah.
So he will give us, and we will be so frustrated after that we think, why did I ask for this? Oh my God. Hare Krishna, Guru Nishta Prabhu. You can say the last word today. Not really, I have something to say after, but...
Нет, уже да, не знакомо.
Получается, что иллюзия так сильна, что мы не можем понять, что мы в иллюзии.
Illusion is so strong that we cannot even realize that we are in illusion.
Я помню в детстве или там в юности, вот я понимал, что-то не то, а не понимал, что.
When I was a young boy, I could sense that something was wrong, but I couldn't understand what was wrong.
Да, и Господь еще как делает. Ну, допустим, тебе желание материальное навязывает, ты не помнишь прошлого. И тебе еще на эти желания включает вкус Рамабхакти, только искреннего великолепия.
previous lifetimes. Actually, they are like carried in our subtle body, and at some point they like manifest those desires. And he says, I don't understand it fully, but he says that there is taste in everything, and those tastes are originally coming from Brahma, but here in this material world, those tastes are perverted, and those tastes they all activate those desires, something like that. He explains like this. I don't know how.
Да, получается, что тут нет другого вкуса вот здесь, только прямо бхакти. Просто я думаю, что я его беру от мамы, я думаю, я беру там от какой-то деятельности. Это просто прямо бхакти, просто я неправильно это понимаю.
Да,
Да.
And he says, all of us, we want to experience taste always. This is the nature of a soul. But everything is coming originally from Brahma, but all those tastes, they are perverted. And that's why we are like trying to relish them, but they're like, like a wrong reflection.
Да, и это все получается что? Просто идет опытом. Годами, одна жизнь, вторая опытом, а потом начинает думать, подожди.
And yes, from many lifetimes, we just get this experience, and gradually we understand. Oh, actually, it's not tasty.
Hare Krishna.
Really.
Jai. Thank you for your participation.
Спасибо большое.
And
Всем тоже.
I would like to make a small announcement now. So, fasten your seatbelt. No, it's not so. Yeah, I'm also inspired by that verse actually, that we should always be conscious, know how Krishna is trying to interact with us. He's trying to show us the way, and I was planning it a little in a different way, but now I feel inspired to do it like this. I actually decided that I will change my color from saffron to white, and I would like to do it today. Yes. Your face. Yes. So I was thinking, because Vrindavan Chandraprabhu is coming today, and I would like to do it when he is here. And it would be really nice if you could all be there and bless me. And yeah, I will also send out a text. It has been for many months I've been, thinking about and reflecting about some things in my life, and I saw that I really have a desire for more freedom than a brahmachari actually should or could have. And so I spoke to many of my mentors, and they acknowledged that, and they encouraged me to take whatever necessary steps I need to move on. And I'm already living outside, no? You know that? I hope not half of the world is now listening to this. But anyway, we have to be honest in our life. And yeah, that was definitely also, for a long time, I didn't feel comfortable that I'm wearing saffron at the same time I'm outside. So initially I thought, let me do it on Nishinga Chaturdasi. But then I feel it's Nishingadev's day, I don't want to, because it usually is a little bit of a sensation for people, and then it will distract from his glories. And so I thought I'll do it today, and in this way move on. Yeah, after I've been wearing saffron for 7 years now, and I've been in the ashram for 10. So it's long. I was reflecting yesterday, I don't remember doing anything so long like this in my life. 10 years, full time. It's a long time. It's 1/3 of my life.
I remember that we met in the central station, and we was on the meeting point with a lot of people around us, and he was asking me, hey Daniela, did you come to the temple? We were selling books,
That's true. It's 10 years
yesterday.
ago where I was. Yeah, it feels like yesterday.
Yes. And it is 10 years, you know.
It's 10 years.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Because this dimension is so irreal.
Yeah,
Color.
it's 10 years. It's also when I was reflecting. Oh. And then I also understood why it's also not so easy for me, you know, because you build up a certain identity and perception. Yeah, but now I feel I'm ready.
When will you do it?
I don't know actually. It's as I said, it's a little spontaneous. I was just thinking it's nice when Vrindavan Chandraprabhu is here, because he is also one of my mentors and well-wisher. So let's see when he comes, and if you are all around, we can do a small Istagoshti, and I can go and come back, and then we can take a picture. Because, you know, one thing is as a temple president, you kind of, many people look at you, and so I want to do it quite clear communication in order to avoid some unnecessary discussions. So meaning we take a picture, I send it out with my text, and then it's done. So yeah, I already ask now for your blessings, that this will just be another helpful step towards Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,